Brendan, you are our first, I think, repeat guest. So congrats on that. You're breaking new ground.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Conquering new things.
Mm-hmm.
So last time we had I suppose, more of a structured one. This one's just going to be free-flowing and loose.
Perfect.
So one of the things I was thinking of, we were talking about free will yesterday, so I'm just going to dive straight in.
Right.
Do humans have free will?
That's like a super hard question, but I don't think so.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Well, what's your reasoning for that?
Well,
Or what comes to mind first up?
I think is it determinism, where it's like the action before then was the reason for the action now, and
Yeah.
it continuously goes like that.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I think like you're free in this moment to do whatever you want. But is that just what you think from what's happened before? Like, has your free will, technically free will, been gained by what you've learnt before?
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to answer.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing with determinism is, it's essentially saying if there was a computer that could measure every single atom in the universe, then it could tell, okay, this is going to interact in this way, and so forth. Yeah, goes on from there. People say, but there's randomness with quantum mechanics and stuff, but that still doesn't really answer whether there's free will in humans. Just because something random happens, that doesn't infer that there's a person behind it as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the problem with humans, is that we try to, what do they call it, anthropomorphize. I think that's the word, which probably got it wrong, but they try to turn the world into a human world and try to understand it through human terms. So we think that like someone's got to be controlling it, because we always try to control actions and the world. Like we try to manipulate nature to do what we want and everything. So it's that same thing, trying to turn it into a human world when it's not actually a human world.
Yeah. And it's sort of, those things are funny as well, because it sort of gets into ethics of just, I don't know, small things, the ethics of really small things. So is, let's say Woolworths with their drones and like their new robots and stuff, and they'll put a name tag on it. This is Frank. And so you don't abuse Frank because it's it's not a robot anymore. It's Frank.
You turn him into a person.
Yeah. So it's sort of weird, because are they allowed to do that? Well, yeah, I guess. But when it gets to, what if they have a really convincing sales robot there saying, hey, there's like these Oreo cookies, they're really, really good, Brendan, you should get these ones. And then maybe have like a sad face if you pick it up and then put it back down. It's like,
bit of manipulation.
Yeah. What level would be permissible? Same with electronic billboards. So have you heard of those studies where they'll have someone just watching a screen and then they'll put in like a really quick flash, too quick for the human eye to actually catch, but it'll be like a sad face or a face in fear or something?
I think I've heard about this, yeah.
Yeah, and so they can measure with your brain scans that you see it, but you don't. You subconsciously see it, but you can't consciously say, "Oh, I saw that." But it will still elicit the fear response. So your amygdala will like light up and you feel stressed and stuff, which then could be used to manipulate you to buying products.
What not would be or can be? It probably is.
It could.
Probably already is being used.
Well, that's the thing. So if you heard of a company doing that, what would your response be to that? Do you know, is that ethical for them to be doing things like that?
It's definitely not ethical. Like that's just like manipulating people.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the world we live in now.
Yes.
Everything is about manipulation and...
Yeah, so what's the difference between that and a giant billboard that you can't help but see when you're driving on the freeway?
Well, there's no real difference, is there? Because they already use those techniques anyway. They have smiling people in a product that you should buy, and then they have like really morbid stuff on things you should avoid. So I think it's already used. It's just not using that quick flash. It's they're already using those techniques. They've been using them for however long, like a very long time.
Yeah. So what's the difference then if it's a really short one? Because I'd agree as well. If I found out a company was doing that in their stores, I'd be pretty disgusted with them, or say like, oh no, I don't really want to go to that store if that's what they're resorting to sell me whatever product it is.
But I think it's like, say you find out Woolies is doing it, then you go, I'm not going to Woolies anymore, and I'm just going to go to Coles. But then maybe Coles have been doing it the whole time too. But if you don't know, like, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you might just find out that everyone's doing it, and nowhere you go is safe. So it's,
Yeah, I was thinking, like, how could I use this to advantage for the Mere Mortals podcast? Start putting
subliminal messaging in your clips.
Yeah, like little happy faces or something. And people, oh yeah, Mere Mortals, I'm feeling happy. I don't know why. Every time I watch Mere Mortals, I feel really, really happy.
Now people are going to be questioning.
Yeah, I know. I should have brought it up.
That's right. They're going to be watching your clips in super slow-mo.
Yeah.
Just seeing if there's any hidden clips.
Yeah.
That could be a good Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about Easter eggs the other day, so yeah, we'll start doing that in there.
Yeah.
Just for you, the like 3 people who still care about Easter eggs. Look for it.
Easter eggs rock.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, though, I went I don't have the book here. There's a book, I've been reading a couple of books by John Ronson, and he's very famously wrote The Men Who Stare at Goats, if you've heard of that film.
Yeah.
He wrote the book that was based on. Mm-hmm. And do you know who Alex Jones is?
The name sounds familiar.
He runs a site called InfoWars in the US, and he's basically like king of the conspiracy theories. He's the one. He's the main man. And he was talking about with him how they would go. He just met him, and they would go like diving into these conspiracy theories, and it's just so funny hearing about someone who just lives in a world where everything. And I mean, everything is a conspiracy theory. And it would be a hard world to live in if you're questioning all the time. Like, I feel like there'd be some things you'd need to just chill out on. Like, I don't need to dive deep into, I don't know, why the child swing is actually a demonic device to whatever.
I think, though, going back to your free will thing, it would be an easy way to live.
Yeah?
Because then you're just the victim. You can play the victim card your entire life because it's always them. They're the reason why I can't get ahead in life. They're the reason I can't do this and that.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's the cabal and the elite. So, I don't know. They could probably just accept where they are in life quite easily. No need for self-improvement because how are they going to improve? There's always a conspiracy against them. Yeah. So maybe it's a easier way to live.
Yeah. I find most of the radical way that people think, so whether it be really going down everything's a conspiracy theory, or if you're really deep into religion, or you're super scientific, or whatever the way is that's your thing, I find it is probably just the easiest way of psychologically like living or being able to live in the world without having to put too much effort in. I feel like all of these things, no matter how. So say you look at someone like Alex Jones, who's just intensely energetic. Everything he's doing is 100% the he'll go at it. But like you said, like there's something liberating in that as well, in which, I sort of no matter what happens, I didn't really have a shot because the lizard people were controlling it from the start.
That's right.
So even though, and then that in result means you can sort of be like a little bit less lazy about things in essence.
Yeah.
I find that happening for me. If I can be lazy, I will be. So I try and put in like, I don't know, mental things to get me up and doing things.
I think that's just like the way of the universe, though, isn't it? Everything tries to be efficient and waste as little energy as possible. And it's probably a natural drive. Like, if people weren't looking for food, or like I'm talking about prehistoric people or whatever you call them, like cave people trying to survive. Once they had food and had all their needs met, they probably just laid around, chilled in the sun or in the shade, just taking it easy. So I think everyone tries to be as lazy as they can, but we've kind of been tricked into being productive.
I've never heard that before. Being tricked into being productive. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like that's the function of our society, I guess. It's like you have to contribute, you have to pay your taxes, we've all got to chip in to make this thing better.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what would be the consequence if we all just chilled under trees and stuff and, just took it easy?
Yeah. That's a good hypothetical. So, how much health problems are caused by people overworking, stress at work? How much injuries are caused by needing to have, the biggest, newest building when the old one could have just been, touched up or something. So all the extra effort we put in does result in, extra tiredness, for example, which means we need better houses to rest our tired bodies and to keep going. Okay, I like that. That's cool.
It's like the saying,
That's a good idea.
You can't stop progress.
Yeah.
Like once you start to better things, there's no end to it because things can always be better.
Yeah.
But, you could just sit under a tree and chill. It's not really going to make too much of a difference, but
yeah. Okay, that's a good. I've never really heard that point of view before. That's cool. I like that. It did get me thinking about. Okay. So human motivation and why we do things. So have you heard of the UBI before? Universal Basic Income.
Yes. Yep.
What are your thoughts on if let's just say Australia implemented a policy where everyone gets, let's just say, $1,000 a month, which is 12 grand a year. You can pretty much survive on that. That covers rent and food basically. Do you think if everyone received that, let's just say like right now the government said, yep, we're implementing this tomorrow.
Yep.
What do you think would be the result in terms of motivation for people? Would people stop going to work? Would people because that's the main detraction I hear from it. It's like, people find meaning in their jobs. Whereas for me, the whole experience of not having a proper job for 4 years has been the best thing ever for me because I've had so much time to work on all my other stuff. So what do you think about that? Do you think how do you think society would change if we just implemented that?
I think because we have society up until this point, and then we go forwards, there'll be a lot of depressed people and down people because they don't have anything to do, because they've been convinced that they should have something to do. They should be productive and have a job and find meaning in their job.
Yep. So I'm not even saying that there's been job cuts yet. Let's just say that you just receive this extra money coming into your bank account. How do you think that would influence you as in terms of motivation?
Influence me personally?
Yeah, you, and then maybe going on to others.
Well, me, I would probably quit my job straight away, never work a day in my life again, and just train and meditate and chill and look into everything that I find interesting.
Yeah.
If I could survive.
So you could do that on 12 grand a year?
I think so. Maybe I'd have to just make a bit of money here and there for a few luxuries, but I think so. I think I could live a pretty simple life and just do what I actually enjoy.
Yep.
But I think for everyone else, I don't know. I'm sure you get like the lazy people who don't actually want to work and don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
They'll just quit straight away.
Yeah.
They'll just chill and do nothing and probably be fine with it. But I think people who actually enjoy work would probably love an extra 12 grand for nothing. A year. But
my thoughts are that it wouldn't really change that much. I think the people who, at least in Australia, so the people who absolutely like refuse to work or can't work, they're already like, I think our welfare system is pretty damn good for supporting those people. I don't know if it's 12 grand a year, if it's that much.
I think it'd be more.
It could be, especially if you have some sort of disability or
dependence and whatnot.
Yeah. So I think for those sorts of people, like that option's already there. So if they were really inclined towards that, they'd already sort of gravitate towards that. So it'd be more the person who's, let's say, working an admin job at 40 grand a year. What would their motivation be like? I just don't see people like en masse quitting and then not having meaning in their life because they don't have a job. It strikes me as more like, but like you said, with the continuous progression, 12 grand a year is nice. You can live on it, but you're not taking big trips out to Paris. You're not buying the latest iPhone whatever for $1.5 grand.
But maybe if people live the simple life, they'll start to realize that stuff is pretty hollow.
Yeah, it could be. I would say it'd be pretty hard to. It's hard to go back from that. I'm not sure. So let's say there's X percentage of the population, 100 people who have like that sort of admin job and stuff, I'd say probably most of them wouldn't quit that job just because they had 12 grand coming in. I just don't see that really happening, which is the main...
Yeah, 12 wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, that's like the main detraction I keep hearing. And the other one is the assumption that having a job brings meaning to your life, which it can, but I would argue that people would find meaning in other ways, in more fulfilling ways as well.
Yeah.
Just because you have a job with, you know, Kyrin and Tina and
that
whoever
Tina.
person, that bitch Tina. I actually met up with those friends last night, so I got my extra dose of
Nice.
Tina. Just because you have those people, you didn't really choose those work people as well. So even though they might not be the worst, they might not be the best either.
Well, I have a question for you. What do you think would happen if, say, the universal basic income was 50,000, and so you could live on that and you could live quite well?
Yep.
You know, you could live pretty good. What do you think would happen then?
Yeah, so 50 grand's a bit of a different method, ballpark, I guess. That one I could definitely see some issues being raised, especially if there was no implicit like gratitude for it. So if it was just maybe even if a simple thing like if you earn the 50, you have to earn that 50 grand by doing 1 day of community service a year. So it sort of feels like you've earned it in a way. I think that would make a big difference. If it was just 50 grand getting chucked at you, I think it'd be real easy to be frivolous with that as well. So yeah, there's definitely a tipping point where it's like, okay, this much money can get me all these things. And obviously if everyone's on 50 grand and then no one's doing any work, okay, where's that 50 grand coming from?
I don't think no one would do work though. Like there are just some people who toil.
Yeah.
Like, some people just love to work.
Yeah.
Like I've worked with dudes who like just love digging holes. You know, they just want to get a shovel and just work. And like even if they have a digger there, like literally I worked with a guy and we had a digger and the day was going to take so long. Like if we just dug the trench quickly, he would have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So he just parked the digger up and he got a shovel out and he dug a trench because he was like, I'm not just going to sit here after this 1 hour of trenching and do nothing all day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just going to dig.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it. And
Yeah,
it'll
I
take
get-
me 4 hours, but I don't care. Like he just wants to work.
Yeah.
And it's like those old dudes who like, you know, they have their gardens and they keep improving their houses and doing all this stuff. But like if they take a fall and break their hip and then they can't walk anymore, like usually it doesn't take much longer for those guys to pass on because they've lost their kind of the one thing they enjoyed was toiling.
Yeah.
So now all they do is they have to lay in a bed or sit in a chair and they just hate that type of life because they've always been a physical person and then die.
Yeah. And toiling's a sort of good and bad word because toiling sort of implies, or you know, doing things you don't want to do. Usually you'd use toil with, the peasants in Russia are toiling away at their gardens of work. But yeah, for me, I can definitely see that and the similarity between me going for a 10K run, which takes 55 minutes. And that's definitely, I think toiling is a good word for that as well, which is, you know, I'm just doing something sort of for the sake of doing it. So
Just to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? If people were paid 50 grand, how much? What do you think would change?
I think we'd have a lot more like creative people. There'd be way more YouTube channels. There'd be way more like art. There'd be way more creations and inventions, I think, because people would actually, like after they get over the initial boredom, they'd probably start, well, hopefully, they'd probably start looking into what they actually enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where like creativity comes from. People sort of getting back to what they really enjoy. And then from there, I think we'd have like really awesome advancements because the people who are working would be working because they want to and they're actually passionate about something. And then the people who are more like artistic and creative would be, you know, like laying under trees, like we said before, and chilling out and looking at nature and or doing whatever they do to get inspiration for their art.
Yeah.
So I think it would work well because, like I said, the people who want to work and they work passionately. And then the people who want to chill and create have more downtime to then spark their creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So have you been sitting under many trees recently? Is this,
Every now and then I like to sit under a good tree.
Yeah.
I was walking back from the gym the other day and I didn't have anywhere to be, so I took my shoes off and walked through the grass and then just sat for a while in the shade. So I think I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I think I just like sit and meditate for a while and see what ideas come to mind and then pursue those ideas.
Yep. I've been trying to do that more. Classic me. I do it, but in like a really structured way. So it's like on Saturdays, I'm going to go out and sit and do nothing for this X time.
yeah. Draw up some creativity, some spontaneity.
Yeah, exactly. That's I'm not renowned for my spontaneous nature, so that's my best attempt at it. No, but it is fun. It is good doing that. But sometimes ants, man, I really hate ants crawling on me, and it's funny trying to meditate and let things be, but then I find there's certain things which can really, really tick me off. Yeah, ants crawling on me is definitely one of them.
But that's just part of your nature. Like that's kind of who you are, and when you meditate, you kind of strip away all the constructed part of your nature, like all your, I guess what they call your ego, like all the things you've been convinced into believing, and then strip it all away. You still hate ants crawling on you. Like that's actually you. That's the one of the realest parts of you.
Yeah.
So it's completely natural if you're sitting in meditation and you're being yourself, like the universe, as they say, or you're most natural. Swatting an ant is probably the most accurate representation of you. That's you being real in that moment.
Yeah.
Pure authenticity.
That's another good idea, man. You're full of ways I've never thought of before. I like this. So, yeah. Well, and that's one of the hard things with meditation, because you got to accept things, but also there are certain things which I find that if I try too hard to accept that there's ants crawling on me, and so that'll just take me out of the non-trying nature, which is sort of supposed to be, not supposed to be, but which is a part of meditation. Yeah. So, and I think there's a reason why the Buddhist monks, the ones who are the most serious, the most strict, they don't live in the cities. They live in the temples up in the middle of nowhere, just because you will have those distractions. You will have those things that the jackhammers, the noisy neighbours having sex next door.
The Harley Davidsons with their loud exhaust pipes.
Yeah.
I hate a loud motorbike. That's like, even if I sit in meditation and I'm chill as hell, if just an obnoxiously loud motorbike goes past, I just lose my shit.
Yeah.
So obnoxious.
I was saying to Juan the other day that, say like Teslas, and they become the norm, these silent gliding cars. Would we ever get to the point where you can put a cap on loud music being played next door to your house at a party, and you can call the police and they'll go and do something about it? Can I call the police every time I hear a really loud motorbike and go, like, what's going on?
You can already do that.
Can you?
Yeah.
They do have restrictions, but
noise complaints. You can put in noise complaints on anything.
Yeah.
My sister's boyfriend, back when she was a teenager, like, he had a VS Commodore, like a V8 with a loud exhaust. And when he would drive to work in the mornings, his neighbours kept putting in noise complaints.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't hammering it or anything. Maybe he was sometimes. But, even just driving past, the sound of that car at 5 a.m., that would piss him off enough to put in noise complaints.
Yeah.
And my other sister's boyfriend, he had a Sylvia, and like Jap cars with exhaust and stuff, just super loud and annoying. He would push his car down the driveway. I'm pretty sure it was him, or maybe it was one of his friends, but they would have to push their car down the driveway past the house and then start it out the front of the house, because it would it's so fucking loud.
Jeez, man, I could see that system getting abused though, because I remember in Mackay, my ex-girlfriend lived in Slade Point, which is
Slady. Represent.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's where the bikers, what do you call them? People who ride bicycles.
Cyclists,
that's the one. A big group of them would come by every Saturday morning. And man, those people are loud. They can talk very, very loudly. So if I knew this, I would have been tempted to put in a noise complaint on them. Yeah. And then, I don't think it's that far a step from putting a noise complaint on that to like a noisy bird that's outside or something.
That's called a rock. You throw the rock at the bird. That's the noise complaint. I literally had this problem because when I finished school, I was a bit of a bum for about 3 years. Didn't have a job, and like I would end up sleeping until like 1 or 3 p.m. sometimes, like when I would get into like a really weird sleep rhythm. And then we lived at this one place, and then I think they were like lorikeets and like the melaleuca trees or something, just eating the flowers. And I would go out there and like yell at them and throw sticks into the trees and stuff because it was so frustrating. But yeah, you can't call the police for that one, but sticks and rocks definitely work.
Well, you actually can, and that's why there's all these, funny, you hear those like funny 911 calls, usually from America as well, where it's, someone complaining about the bed sheets flapping too loudly in their next door neighbors, or asking if the police can come and, find the remote for their TV or whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah, if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, that one's a pretty fun one because they have the video, like the audio recordings as well. And so, like, usually it's like the woman who gets the call, like, on the police end, and it's like, what?
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Geez.
Good stuff. All right, I think that's a good place to end it, man.
Lovely.
Thanks for joining me
No
again.
worries.
If you want people to connect with you or reach out or see some impressive handstands or whatever else, your Easter eggs that you're putting, where should they go?
Just Brennan Jayo balances on Instagram.
Yep, nice. Yep. All right, cool. There'll be a link on that. And if you're in the Brisbane area and looking for some PT advice or something like that,
hit me up.
Brendan's your man.
No worries.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me.